Hi everyone, and welcome to Granite Garden Cottage, where I'm trying to inspire you to live intentionally, not habitually. If you are new here, thank you so much for checking me out, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back, and welcome back, friend. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a pantry tour of my 2025 pantry stock. Now this year is going to be a little bit different than what I hope my future pantry tours will look like, because we have only lived on this property for a couple of months, and so I was not able to garden or grow my own food this year. So I did have to buy in all of our produce. All of the food that you're seeing in this video was bought in, whether that's from local farms or grocery stores, and I will let you know where we purchased our items from as we go on in these videos. I did want to say that the reason that I like to have a big stocked pantry is because I very much dislike going to the grocery store, especially now that I have a little one, because I find it to be a long process to get him ready, go to the grocery store, do the grocery shopping, get home, unpack everything. It's a big process, especially because now that we live where we currently do, it's a little bit more rural than we're used to, and it's about an hour away from our preferred grocery stores. The local grocery stores tend to be much more expensive than our preferred grocery stores, and so we do try to make the journey out to those preferred grocery stores when we are able to. When we do that, we try to buy as much as we can in bulk so we don't have to go back very frequently. So that is one reason that we like to have a lot of food on our pantry shelves. Another thing is that I am just a busy mom. I work full time, I have a family, and having all of this food on my shelves makes it easy to just kind of grab what I need and go, instead of having to take time out of my week to plan what I need for grocery shopping, make a list, go to the grocery store. All of that just eats up a lot of time and energy. So having all this food on my shelves just makes my whole life much easier. And then also I save money by buying my groceries in bulk, or choosing to buy things when they are on sale or when I have coupons. And if that's the case, I will buy more than I normally might. Again, I can take advantage of a better price. So those are, some of the motivations for having a large home pantry. I will say that my home pantry is very tiny next to some of the home pantry tours that you see here on YouTube. And some of the reason for that is because we are a small family. We're only 2 adults and one 1-year-old. So, we don't necessarily need as large of a pantry as you might see with some of these families that have many children or more multi-generational living. That said, as we go into next year, my plan is to grow a large garden and to preserve my own food that I'll be growing here. So I do hope to have a larger pantry every year as we continue to do these tours, and also hoping to have more homegrown and homemade products on these shelves as opposed to grocery purchased items, if that makes sense. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a background into our personal pantry. I don't know if you can tell here, but this is an unfinished area of my basement. Again, we've only lived here a couple of months, so the plan is to finish this space. So if you hang out long enough, you will see this space eventually transform, but for now it is a functional space for us to store our pantry items. Now, without further ado, let's get into what's on all these shelves. So let's start on the top shelf of these two plastic racks. I do not know exactly what size these racks are. I know we bought them from BJ's a couple of years ago, and for now they make a functional space for our pantry. Eventually I would like to upgrade these to something that's a little bit more sturdy and can hold more weight, but for now this does the job, and I'm pleased with the ability to hold as much as they have been able to. But up here on the top shelf, we do have this Safe Catch tuna. There are 3 cans of tuna in every multi-pack that we buy. We get this at Hannaford, and it is rather expensive compared to the generic purchase tuna that you can buy, like the lowest price tuna. And the reason for that is that all of this tuna, every can is tested for mercury. and that is important for us. We try to minimize our heavy metal exposure as much as possible, especially having a young child. Children are especially vulnerable to heavy metal poisoning, and so we want to be cognizant of that. And this is a brand that just offers a little bit of peace of mind when it comes to the mercury we're eating in our fish. Behind these cans of tuna, I do have a bag of onions. This is a 3-pound bag of organic onions. I get this at BJ's. BJ's has some of the best prices on organic produce in my area. So I have this bag, and then I also have this bag that's hanging down here closer to the second shelf, which you'll see in a minute. There's also a bag upstairs in my home as well, like in my active kitchen, where I'm just pulling onions as needed for my meals. I have this Celtic sea salt. Again, my husband did a lot of research into which salt brands were best for minimizing heavy metals while keeping that natural mineralized product that we want. And you have to have a little bit of like a balance with that. But this is a brand we feel good about, so we buy the Celtic sea salt. I have 2 bags here. That's 2 pounds total. I do buy these pasta, this organic pasta. I buy at BJ's as well. It's a 4-pack of pasta, and I think, yes, every bag is 1 pound. So this is 4 pounds of pasta in this multi-pack, and I have 2 of those here. So that's 8 pounds of pasta. We'll eat like a half a bag, or I'll make like a half a bag per recipe for my husband and I. Sometimes we'll have some leftovers with that, but this will last us quite a while. We're more rice people than pasta people, so it's nice to have pasta on hand though. It's quick, easy, something different once in a while. I have this big old glass jar of Dijon mustard. When I first thought of buying this, I thought, who on earth needs 32 ounces of Dijon mustard? The answer is apparently me, because I plan to use this Dijon mustard for making mayonnaise, marinades, salad dressings, whole bunch of things. So I figured, why not save money and get the larger container. Again, you can see this is from Azure Market, so Azure Standard. And I'm hoping that this Dijon mustard lasts me a while. Better than bouillon. I put this stuff in everything. It's like my secret ingredient. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to say that because I feel like it's cheating a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like it's good stuff. So I always try to have one of these on hand. I have one again upstairs in my kitchen that we're currently using, but this is a nice backup for when we run out to have on hand. This is not something I would normally buy or keep on my pantry shelf, but once a year I make green bean casserole, and I do top it with crispy onions because there's just no substitute. So I get the organic crispy onions from Whole Foods. It's a pricey little investment, but it's once a year, so I just buy 1 can of these a year, and we're coming up on Thanksgiving, so that is why this is sitting here on my shelf. Moving on, I do have a 5-pound bag of flour from Whole Foods, all-purpose flour. I also have a 25-pound bag that you guys are going to see shortly. Yeah, I have a lot of flour on hand. And then behind this flour, you'll see I have 6 bags of this 1 degree sprouted rolled oats. I love these oats. I think they have a great texture, great flavor, and they're a little bit healthier because they are sprouted, so they just have a little bit more nutrient density than regular rolled oats. So I did buy these from Azure Standard. They were on sale, so I bought a large amount of them, and I'm thinking these are going to last me probably a year or so, I would say. About a year. Moving on over, this is the deeper portion of my top shelf here. I do have some baking powder. I buy these coffee filters at BJ's. These will last us a good long while. This molasses I get at Whole Foods, and again, this should last us a long time. We really use molasses just for making brown sugar, for baking, and making homemade barbecue sauce, but this should last us a while. And then behind the molasses are 4 bags of coffee beans that we get from Whole Foods. Whole Foods has this new thing where they're letting you use coupons 5 times in 1 transaction. And so I bought 5 bags of coffee because I had a coupon I could use 5 times in 1 transaction, if that makes sense. So BJ's is one of those stores that's an hour away for us. So being able to use a coupon 5 times in 1 session is amazing and really helpful when you don't want to have to go back over and over and over again. again. So I'm hoping this coffee lasts us a long time because coffee is so expensive, but we are big coffee drinkers in my house, and so I can't make any guarantees how long this coffee will last. And then let's move on over here. Tucked away in this corner, I have some organic prunes, and then I have organic cocoa powder. The cocoa powder we use for baking, and the prunes really I give to my son. Sometimes I'll nibble on them for a snack, but I like to reconstitute these and blend them up into like, mix it with like an applesauce or pear sauce or things like that for him. I have some cheesecloth here. I primarily use cheesecloth for straining yogurt to make it like a Greek style yogurt, but I like to have cheesecloth on hand for that. Again, I got that at Azure Standard. They were running a sale, I believe, so I decided to save a little money and get a multi-pack. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 packages of these chocolate chips. Again, oops, they're upside down. I get these at Whole Foods. When I compared the regular price, the standard price for these chocolate chips at my local Whole Foods, it was cheaper than getting them at Azure Standard. Even on sale, there was a sale on Azure Standard for chocolate chips, so I was certain they would be less expensive than Whole Foods, but alas, I was wrong, and that's why you have to be very careful when you do shopping in this way, because it's important to cross-compare prices to make sure you're really getting the best deals. You're not just assuming you're going to get the best deals. But I did buy 6 bags of chocolate chips because we're rolling up on baking season. My husband's birthday, my son's birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's all happening. So having chocolate chips on hand for baking treats for special occasions is going to be important. So I did buy 6 bags of chocolate chips. And then the last thing I have up on my top shelf are these tortilla chips. These are some of the only snacky type items you'll see in this pantry tour, and they're really like the only reason I buy these is because I had a coupon at BJ's. I could buy 5 of them with a coupon, so I bought 5 of them. And we like to use these for nacho nights. Some families do like taco nights, and we do like nacho nights, and so sometimes I'll have chips, sometimes I won't, depending, but my husband likes to have some crunch with his nachos, so that's really what we use these for, is for nacho night in our house. We don't really eat them as a snack with salsa as much as we would be planning a meal that includes these, if that makes sense. So this shelf I have my pickled canned goods and some pressure canned beets. So I have 5 pints of dilly beans. One of the first videos I posted was my dilly bean video. So these are a couple of cranberry sauces that I had actually canned last year. I have to can some more this year, so I do hope to use these up pretty soon. Sometimes I forget these are in here because I don't eat cranberry a ton outside of like the Thanksgiving or holiday season. But I'm trying to be intentional about using these up in like yogurts or baked goods or oatmeal and things like that. So hopefully I can get through these. I have a quart of pickled red beets from last year that I've been like holding on to and refusing to eat because I knew I would be out once I ate them. It's a silly mentality to have, but I've been holding on to them, and now that I have all these beets to process, I now know I can eat these up. So this will be one of the next things I pack for my work, my work week as a meal prep item. And then I have some pickled golden beets that I just pickled with the most recent Azure Standard order that I picked up. And I have just plain pressure canned beets as well. And I like to strain these and pat them dry and just put a little bit of dressing or oil on these or marinade and broil them to get a little caramelization on them, and they taste so good. So that is what I'll be doing with these pressure canned beets. Sorry, my video keeps getting very light too, so I know it's hard for you guys to see. It's terrible lighting in my basement. This is the pressure canned silly me, no, pressure canned beef that we did together in a recent video as well. I pressure canned all of this beef here because I did not have enough freezer space for it all, and these were the tougher cuts anyway that I would have had to slow cook over the course of many hours in order to render them, make them tender. So I figured why not pressure can them and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It would free up my need for another freezer, and it would also make this beef tender. So really all we have to do is pop this out of the can and fry it up or mix it in with a recipe, and it will be good to go. So I think this will be really nice to have on the shelves for nights that we're really busy, or if we forgot to pull beef out or meat out to thaw for dinner, or if we lose power, this could be really nice to just heat up really quick on the grill or something if we ran out of power during the winter. So I'm excited to have all of this beef. Let me show you. All of this beef here on the shelf. So from here to here is all my canned beef, and I'm like exceptionally proud of all of this canned beef that I have here. Okay, so moving over into the tail end of this shelf, I do have some bone broths. These 2 rows are chicken bone broths, and then I have a couple of chicken and beef mixed bone broths that are a little bit darker than that just regular chicken bone broth. I do have this 3rd bag of onions. I know I showed you the onions on the top shelf. All right, coming on down here to the 3rd shelf of the pantry, we have our delicata squash here. I have about 15 pounds of delicata squash here. And then I have just a few apples. I have how much is this? A 3-pound bag here of apples, and then just some, loose apples as well. So maybe 5 pounds or so of apples here. I'll probably end up using the bagged apples because they're fresher for fresh eating. And then these apples have been here for a few weeks, and so I will probably turn these into applesauce for my son. Maybe mix them with those pears I showed you earlier. Not pears, prunes that I showed you earlier. So moving past our apples over here, we've come into the middle portion of this 3rd shelf down. I have a couple of bags of sweet potatoes. These are 3-pound bags each. My husband and my son do not like sweet potatoes. I'm the only one who eats them, so I like to incorporate these into my meal prep for my work week. So that's why I don't have a ton of sweet potatoes on hand, but I do really enjoy them, so I like to have a couple of bags. And then same thing with potatoes. We have 3 bags and then 1 random potato from this 4th bag, but I had 4 bags of russet potatoes here. We did eat off of this bag the last couple of weeks, but we are rice people more than we are potato people. Like I was saying about the pasta, we prefer rice as our side dish to most of our meals, but it is nice to change things up and have potatoes sometimes, so I like to have a few bags of potatoes on hand for that. And I also will use these potatoes for Thanksgiving this year for our mashed potatoes. So that's the purpose for these. And then behind all of those potatoes, let's see if I can show you. I have all these butternut squash back here. So I estimate that I have about 30 to 40 pounds of butternut squash here on these shelves, and I absolutely adore butternut squash. It is my favorite squash, so I could eat these every single day and not get tired of them. So I'm very happy to have so many on the shelves. These will last me a while. Again, I'm the only one who really loves squash in my house, so more for me. But I do like to roast these up. I'll roast up like a big butternut squash, and then I have leftovers for a few days, or I build them into my meal planning. So that's all. All right, friends, so you're not going to see my face in this portion of the video because it is very low to the ground, but I will show you that we do have 7 of these jars of pasta sauce, and these are some of the most affordable pasta sauces in my area. I have cross-compared the price with this is Whole Foods, sorry, with BJ's, with Hannaford and Azure Standard, and actually this 365 Whole Foods brand is the most affordable. And then I also have this lonely random jar of grape jelly. We don't eat a lot of jellies in my house, but I do like to make like a sweet and sour party meatball recipe with jelly, so I like to have a little bit on hand. Sometimes I'll use my canned cranberry sauce for that too. You kind of mix like barbecue sauce and jelly, and it makes like this amazing sweet and savory sauce that goes on meatballs, and it's delightful. I have a couple of big jars of salsa here. And we primarily use this salsa for nacho night, but once in a while we'll snack on it for just snacking purposes. And then behind this salsa, we do have a box of canned stewed tomatoes. Sometimes I'll just pop like I'll pop a can of these canned diced tomatoes, and I'll mix it in with one of these pasta sauces just to make it go a little bit further. But I can also pop these into like soups or stews, and just to kind of bulk up or add more flavor and variety to whatever it is I'm cooking up. I have 1 jar of barbecue sauce. Again, I'll probably use this barbecue sauce for a meatball sauce for a party. I have a 2-pack of ketchup. Always good to have extra ketchup on hand. And if I run out of barbecue sauce, I can make my own barbecue sauce with this ketchup. So ketchup is one of those ingredients that's nice to have on hand. And then let's see, we have 1 container here of apple cider vinegar, which I primarily use when doing pickling and canning. I like apple cider vinegar for the flavor. And then some coconut oil here. A big old container of this will last us a good long while. 1 gallon of white vinegar. I have just 1 of these olive oil glass jars, and then I have 2 avocado oils down here as well. I have 2 additional avocado oils actually upstairs that I forgot about in my upstairs pantry. But that's what I have down here for now on this portion of the shelf. On this far left side, I have all of my canned beets. I keep saying beets. I don't know why. I have all of my canned beans here. And you saw that video where I did that bulk canning of a year's worth of beans. So you can see the great many jars I have here of these beans, and I'm very happy with them. And then I love to just pop these into soups or stews. I like to build these into my meal prep recipes. These will take a long while to get through, but they add a great amount of nutrients and protein and fiber to my diet. So happy to have all of these on the shelf. And then I have this area here we haven't talked about yet. This is in the kind of tucked back further in my pantry. It's not really visible from the outside, but let's get into this. Okay, friends, when I put this all together in my pantry, I did not appreciate how difficult it would be for me to film in this little cubby area back here, and also how dark it is. I don't have any supplementary lighting right now, so I really apologize for how dark it is. I'm hoping I can lighten this up a little bit in editing. But just really quick, I will show you what I have over here in this dry goods area. I have a bag of whole cashews. This is a 5-pound bag. I get my nuts from Azure Standard. And then I do have, same thing, almonds, a 5-pound bag. I have pecans, a 5-pound bag, and then I have walnuts in a 5-pound bag as well. I have a 5-pound bag of peanuts upstairs that we've already dug into because we love peanuts as a snack. And then here I have a 25-pound bag of jasmine rice. I get this from Azure Standard. As you can see, we have already filled up a glass container upstairs in the kitchen just to make grabbing some rice every night for dinner easier. But when I need to refill them, I have these ready to go in the bags. And then same thing over here on this side. Not sure if you can see because now we're washed out with the lighting. But this is a 25-pound bag of all-purpose flour. Now, in a perfect world, I would love to get food-safe containers, but for now, I just have a difficult time investing in those. So for now, I'm just keeping the things I'm opening, I'm trying to keep in like a plastic tote that seals up nicely and at least keeps some kind of a firm seal here. Most of the things in here are from Azure Standard. I have some cashews from my last order, flax seeds. I have sesame seeds here. I have some split peas in this bag, and this bag is green lentils. I I have poppy seeds here for baking, and then some spices like ginger, paprika, cumin. I don't know, this is cinnamon. So these are just some of the bags I've already opened and want to protect as much as possible from the outside world. So I do put them in this tote to kind of keep them sealed up. And then of course, sitting in front of that plastic tote, I have a 10-pound bag of sugar and a large bag of baking soda. I think it's like 13 pounds. Baking soda, we use that for cooking, cleaning, all kinds of things. So the sugar and the baking soda. I also have 2 more bags of this sugar upstairs that are opened. I forgot that I had one open and I opened a second one. And not to be excluded because he is part of the family, this is all cat food that I bought in bulk for the kitty cat. Okay friends, we have moved out of the unfinished area of my basement and into my garage where we have our beef freezer. So just to show you, I'm gonna try to be quick so I don't waste a ton of energy, but this is our beef freezer. And in here we have like brisket and steaks. There's a ton of ground beef in here. Sometimes I jokingly call it our ground beef freezer because basically from here down is all ground beef. But there are lots of steaks in here too. You know, some steaks tucked up on the top. This shelf is steaks. And then upstairs, in our upstairs freezer, we have a whole bunch of steaks as well. But we're definitely trying to get through this ground beef before we use up all the steaks. So that is the ground beef freezer. It's actually just the beef freezer. And we got about 320 pounds of beef from the local farm. I don't know why I keep saying ground beef now. And here's just a closer look for you guys of how packed we have this freezer. We do have some ice packs in here as well that we use when we go to the grocery store. We put them in a cooler so that we can keep like the dairy and stuff cool. But outside of that, it is all beef in here. So much ground beef. Like we just have an astronomical amount of ground beef to eat through here. But that is all of the beef we got with that half a cow. Not to mention what we canned up together. And also what I have in my upstairs freezer. I almost forgot to show you our lonely little bag of red beets here. I did process the golden beets, but this is the bag of red beets that I have yet to get through. And it's actually closer to 28 pounds. My husband weighed it, which is always nice to have a little bit more than what we had expected. And of course, let's not forget the 20 pounds of pears that we have waiting to ripen. And I also had a few more quarts of pickled beets, canned beets, and soup base upstairs from canning the day prior. Okay, you guys, so that is the lion's share of my pantry tour. I do still have a bunch of food in my fridge and my freezer upstairs in the kitchen that I'm not going to get into, because my fridge is an absolute disaster. There's just stuff crammed in that fridge, and I do not want to show you the chaos of my life, and so that will remain a secret for another day. But I do have like 4 containers for 18 packs of eggs. I have a gallon of milk. I have homemade yogurt in there. I have a few pounds of cheese, Parmesan cheese, and also sharp cheddar cheese. What else do I have? I have a 10-pound bag of carrots upstairs in the fridge. Carrots do really well in a plastic bag in the fridge, so that is how I store my carrots. They last a really long time in the fridge that way. I also have a bunch of packs of romaine lettuce and cucumbers I recently got. I will have to use those up very quickly. Those do not store well, as you know, so I will have to eat those up pretty quickly. What else is in there? I have the last of the golden beets that I have to ferment. So I'm still going to get through those and ferment those, but for now those are in my fridge. I have some green beans and some mushrooms because I was going to pre-make my green bean casserole for Thanksgiving and freeze it. So that's one less dish to worry about on the day of Thanksgiving. But apart from that, it's just normal fridge stuff like marinades and dressings and leftovers and things like that. And then in my upstairs freezer, it is chock full, and I have those butchered out chickens that we did together in a recent video. I have a lot of beef that I was not able to fit in the ground beef freezer, if you will. It's all steaks upstairs, as well as a couple of roasts. I also have a 5-pound bag of non-rendered tallow. It's called suet from the farm as well, soup bones, and I have a 12-pound turkey thawing out right now in my fridge that I am going to roast up, and then I'll can the majority of that as well and make bone broth. So that's kind of what I got going on in my upstairs fridge and freezer. There's a bunch of food up there, but like I said, it's just kind of like a horrible mess in both of those spaces, the upstairs freezer and the fridge. So like I said, you should thank me for not exposing you really to that mess and chaos. But that is what I have going on upstairs in those spaces. And that's all the food. That's all the food I have stored up. That's all the products I have stored up in my pantry. When I go through it, it both looks like a ton of food and also not a lot of food at all. I don't know how that works. My mind's playing tricks on me. Please let me know how much food you have put away in your pantry, and if you don't have any put away currently, do you plan to put up food, whether it's now or in the future? I will say that one thing I have learned through my apartment life, where we had very little space, is that you don't need a ton of space to store up food. I was using closets, I was using above my cabinets, underneath bed frames are a good place to store food if you need, or if you want to, if you have a closet that you're not using. Those are all great spaces to store up food, or if you're bulk buying like paper towels and toilet paper, it's a great place to store them, because sometimes it's just a nice idea to save a little bit of money, buy in bulk, and also have some things on hand in case, we had that event in 2019 and COVID happened and everybody bought up all the toilet paper. So if you have a little bit of toilet paper on hand, maybe you're not sweating so much when those things are hard to come by in the store. So thank you so much for being with me through this pantry tour. I did calculate all of the food that I have in all of these spaces. These pantries I showed you, or these shelves that I showed you rather, the beef freezer, the upstairs fridge, and the upstairs freezer. I calculated all of the weight of all of those items, and we have over 800 pounds of food stored up. So we are very happy with that number, and we look forward to embarking on a pantry challenge to see how long we can live off of all of this food before we finally break and go to the grocery store. I have a feeling it will be for something like dairy related, like half and half for coffee, or if we run out of milk and I can't make yogurt. I have a feeling that those things will probably be drawing us into the grocery store before anything else. And unfortunately, I cannot freeze my dairy right now because I have absolutely no freezer space. So I do have to buy that continuously right now. But in the future, I hope to find a local farmer that I can get my dairy from, and I hope to have enough freezer space that I could potentially freeze some of it and just, shake it up once it thaws out and has that little separation that dairy does when you freeze it. It's fine if you just kind of shake it up and get it back into an emulsified state. But I'm rambling at this point. Once again, thank you very much for coming with me on this pantry tour. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.